So you have an assignment that specifically calls for 5 scholarly sources and 3 popular sources. But with so many articles out there, how do you tell the difference between popular and scholarly sources? By the end of this tutorial, you will be able to distinguish between the two. You will learn about some other characteristics and differences, and you will learn about good ways to use popular and scholarly literature in your own work. Why is it important to know the difference between popular and scholarly sources? Understanding sources will help you to do effective research and will enable you to communicate scholarly information. When you know the difference between the two sources, it will help you to discern the validity of the information for your own research. Knowing the difference will also help you decide which type of source will be best for your assignments. Let's start with describing some of the characteristics of popular sources. Popular sources include many magazines and newspapers. The print covers are often glossy or eye-catching, and these sources are geared toward a broad general audience and can often be found at bookstores or newsstands. The articles are generally reviewed by professional staff editors. When you look inside, you will notice popular articles tend to be more visual, often having a larger number of graphics than text. They may also have special layouts and/or advertisements. The language is meant to be understood by the general population. The articles do not usually list references or notes. When you find popular sources in an online library database, you may notice that they look different than in print. The images may not be included as images, but as a list of image descriptions. It may have the look and feel of an academic source because it doesn't have a nice visual appearance, but it is still a popular article because it has the same content that you would find in a physical magazine or newspaper. You will find it might be missing features such as a reference list or the author credentials that you would normally find in a peer-reviewed journal. How are popular sources used? Popular sources may present news and current events. They may tell human interest stories or convey emotional responses. They can also be useful for getting an overview of a topic. The review process to publish popular articles is short, so they can be a good place to look for very current information. Now here are some characteristics of scholarly sources. Scholarly literature is published in subject-specific journals. Some examples are Human Ecology, Journalism Studies, and a Race, Gender, and Class journal. Scholarly journals are typically available through subscription only. You usually cannot find them in stores. These articles are geared toward scholars and experts in their respective fields. They undergo review by other scholars in the field, which is known as the peer review process. Many scholarly sources are in subject-specific journals. When you look at the articles inside, you will notice they are written by scholars and experts in the field. Scholarly articles will incorporate images, graphs, and charts, but tend to have a smaller proportion of graphics in comparison to text. The language is subject-specific and may include jargon. Articles usually include a list of references or notes, which can be helpful for finding additional sources and information. How are scholarly sources used? Scholarly literature is useful for gathering subject-specific information, research, and data. It is a way for scholars to share research and information as well as adding to the academic conversation. Scholarly articles may present or review in-depth research on a given topic. Now let's compare two articles. Both of these articles are on the topic of the Zika virus. The article on the left is from a popular source, a magazine called Parks and Recreation. The language of the article is easy to understand and is written for a broad audience. The background is comprised of one large image and has a special layout. Notice that there are not any notes or references included. These are just some of the characteristics that give it away as a popular article. The article on the right is a scholarly article. It is from the New England Journal of Medicine. The title of the journal gives you a clue that this is a scholarly source. The authors include their academic titles. The article's language is geared towards other scholars in their field. It uses some subject-specific or jargon-like terms. Also notice that this article includes a list of references at the end. These are some of the characteristics that give it away as a scholarly article. Their expertise in the field is indicated as well. Hopefully now the differences between popular and scholarly sources are clear. Do you have any more questions about popular and scholarly sources? Then you can ask a librarian by clicking on the Chat and Ask Us button on the main page of the library's website. Any librarian will be able to help you out with these questions.